everyone, and welcome to the April episode of our Hook a Duck TBR game. So this month's TBR is a little bit different. We were considering not doing ducks because I have quite a few books on my TBR already that I will share with you later in the video because I'm doing myself a little reading challenge. If you have watched my channel before, you might know what I mean because it's something that I do every single year. But I thought, why not do some duck picks? I will just have 6 ducks and everything will go smoothly and everything will be fine. And that did not end up happening. So as you'll see, my ducks have betrayed me this month. And it's going to be a mess, but it's going to be a fun mess. And why wouldn't I do this myself? So I'm not going to take any jar picks this month. So our TBR jar is having a break because we have already got quite a few NetGalley books that we're reading throughout the month. But I am still going to take myself a punishment pick because March was not a good reading month for us. Volume-wise, good, because we read all of the World Book Day releases. So that was 12 books, but all of them were less than 100 pages each. Most of them were picture books or heavily illustrated. And so that didn't really count. And then we just kind of didn't really read much else because my brain noggin has been doing a sad time, which is frustrating because I've been really trying not to slump, and I slumped for a bit. But we're just going to pretend it didn't happen and try and read like 20 books in April because why wouldn't I do that to myself? Especially in my birthday month. I just don't give myself a break. So, punishment pick. I can't even remember what's on half of these sticks now, so I get really nervous. Charity shop wild card. Well, what this meant was I was meant to go to a charity shop and buy a random book I'd never heard of and read that. But in UK we are still in a lockdown situation and our charity shops aren't reopening until April the 12th at the earliest. So I can't actually do this one. So I'll put this one back in and we will pick a different punishment for this month. Because while that one will be really fun when charity shops are open, it won't be very fun if I just go and stare through the window and feel sad. So instead we'll go with Unhauled. So this is a book that we've unhauled because we weren't interested in it. That I now have to borrow from the library, probably through one of the library apps, and give it a go. Now the handy dandy thing about this is that a lot of the crime and thriller books that I unhaul I give to my mum. So I might raid her shelves. So I won't decide what one of these I'm reading yet, but you'll have to come back in either the mid-month wrap-up or the end-of-month wrap-up and see what I picked. That went surprisingly well because that gives me some flexibility later in the month. So now we will begin picking our ducks. So let me pick duck number 1 for you. So as always, I'm just going to shuffle our cards up and see what we get this month. I forgot to mention last month, we've actually got this brand new bucket. So it's not that new now, this is the second video it's been in. But this is our nice bright green pond for our ducks. They're still not floating the best, as you can see. So the likelihood is I'm going to knock some over this time. And then I'll just have to pull some extra ducks out. So we'll all enjoy that. So there are the cards. Here is the rod. And let me hook our first duck. We're going for 6 again this month. So the first duck is a yellow duck, which is a fantasy duck. And our fantasy duck is a Sean pick. Duck number 1 for this month was a yellow fantasy duck, and it was a Sean pick duck. And Sean has kindly decided to choose for me Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. So because our reading goals this month are mainly books that Sean and I are reading together, I decided that most of the duck picks would be books for me to read by myself. And this is one of those. So this is the second book in the Red Queen series. It follows a girl called Mare who is a red in a world where reds have none of the power. The silvers are the ones with all of the power, and she is a red, but then somehow she still has powers anyway, and it's getting to the bottom of like how she has red blood but still has these powers. So the last book ended on what was supposed to be a cliffhanger, but it was something I saw coming from miles away. So while I'm still interested in carrying on with this series, that did dampen my excitement a little bit. But I did manage to buy this one on Kindle Daily Deal last month, I think, February. I don't know, the world is going wacky in my head. I can't remember timelines. I bought it on Kindle Daily Deal at some point because I lost my physical copy, but I will finally be able to carry on with this series. Over to Alice to pick our second duck. Our next duck is... Oh my god. I didn't knock that one over. That was just the natural gravity of the bucket, so we're not counting that. Another yellow duck. Oh no. And this one is Start a Series. And our second duck was another yellow duck, so it was another fantasy duck. And this one was a series starter. So for this one, I've decided to finally begin the Lament series by Maggie Stiefvater. So I have read all of the Raven Boys series, I have read Called I the Hawk, I've read all the Crooked Saints, and I've read the Walls of Mercy Fall series. So from books that Maggie Stiefvater has released, I have read most of them. The only ones I haven't read are the ones that sit behind me in my videos. Oh, I've thrown a duck at myself. Okay, the only ones I haven't read are the ones that sit behind me, which is a little bit embarrassing. So I thought, why not start this one? As far as I'm aware, this is a paranormal fantasy romance. It follows a 16-year-old who can see fairies called Dee, and then she falls in love with an assassin from the fairy world, and she is his next target. So that sounds like that's going to be quite fun. I've been putting off reading these because there was meant to be a third book in the series. It was supposed to be a trilogy, but the third book never got released. But I might as well read the first two because they're out. And my friend Laurie has been recommending these to me for the longest time, and I was meant to read these like a year ago. We were meant to buddy read them, and we didn't. So I'll finally read it now. Over to Alice to pick our third duck. Our third duck of the month is a purple duck, which is a friend pick duck. And this month our friends must choose a NetGalley book. That is handy. And our third duck for this month was a purple duck. And a purple duck is a friend pick duck. So for this duck I decided to go on NetGalley. It was a NetGalley friend pick. So I went on NetGalley and I went right the way back to the oldest titles I had on there. I got a page where I had 5 on the screen and none of them were ones that Sean was interested in. And I popped it into our group chat and my friend Lauren kindly chose Heaven Has No Regrets by Tessa Schaefer. I don't remember anything about this one. I requested it for some reason back in 2014. I have a feeling it's non-fiction. I might be making that up. But we will find out this month what it is about. So thank you again, Lauren, for picking this one for me. And now to pick our fourth duck. Duck number 4 is... Oh, shucks. Okay, well we've just knocked over 2, so let's say we're going for 8 this month instead. Duck number 4 is now our halfway point. And that is a young adult duck. That is good with the YA Book Prize. And that young adult duck is new purchased, which is even more perfect because we've just ordered some YA Book Prize books. And our fourth duck was a green duck, which was a young adult duck. And that was exactly what we wanted because it ended up being a newly purchased duck. So this nicely fits in A Snowfall of Silver by Laura Wood, which is one of the YA Book Prize shortlisted books this year. I ordered this from Waterstones because it wasn't available on any of the library apps that I use, so I knew I needed to read it for the shortlist and I couldn't access it any other way. This is set in autumn of 1931 when an 18-year-old runs away from her home in Cornwall to follow her dream of becoming an actress. So follow your dreams, follow your heart. It sounds like it's going to be very romantic. I absolutely loved A Sky Painted Gold, which was Laura Wood's first YA novel. She usually just writes middle grades, but this is her third YA novel now, but it's going to be the second one that I've read because I bought Under a Dancing Star last year and then I never got around to reading it. So I'm looking forward to picking this one up, and also isn't it just so beautiful? Like, I'm so happy that I've had to buy this one. So that is duck number 4, which is now the halfway point. Because of course I had to knock over 2 in the one video when I was like, do I even bother picking ducks this month? I do, and I regret it. It will be fine. If I don't read them all, I will just take another punishment. Why not? So now over to Alice to pick duck number 5. Duck number 5. Duck number 5 is another purple duck, which is another friend pick duck. And for that pick, our friends need to choose a book box book. And duck number 5 was another purple duck. So this is another friend pick duck, and this friend pick duck was for a book box book. So I popped this picture into my group chat, and my lovely friend Raf kindly chose Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. Now this is a futuristic sci-fi King Arthur retelling. I believe it's also queer, but I might be making that up. But yeah, I like King Arthur retellings. I loved Legendborn. I have had problems with some other King Arthur retellings in the past, but we'll try not to go into that today. So I'm feeling okay about this one. I think it's going to be interesting. Whether I love it, whether I hate it, it's going to be good. But I do also have the sequel on my NetGalley. So if I read this one and love it, I will also try and squeeze that in this month amongst everything else, because why wouldn't I try and read far too much in 1 month and then fail? Over to Alice for our 6th duck pick. Duck number 6. Oh, I've got that not on the hook. Oh.
Does that count?
I'm counting it. That is a pink duck, which is a middle grade duck.
Well, should we add a rule? And if you hook a duck not through the loop, you can take a nut. You can knock up a cough.
No. We're just gonna stick with it for this one. That is a newly purchased middle grade book. Yes, ducks. And our 6th duck pick was a pink duck, which is a middle grade duck, and this was also a newly purchased duck. And now our most newly purchased middle grade book is one for Sean and I to read together, but it's Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab, so I couldn't resist putting this one on here. This is probably going to mess up the rest of our reading plans, because I'm going to binge this and then want to reread the rest of the series, and I'm going to try hardest not to. But this is the 3rd and at the moment final book in the Cassidy Blake series. Cassidy Blake is a girl who can see ghosts. She has a best friend called Jaco, and he is a ghost. She meets him after a near-death experience, and her family are ghost hunters, historians who like travelling across the globe and sharing ghost stories. So the first book is set in Scotland, the second book is set in Paris, and this book is set in New Orleans. So it's going to be interesting to learn some ghost stories, and it's going to be a really fun, quick read, and that's exactly what we need this month, so I couldn't resist putting this one on here. Over to Alice to pick our penultimate duck. Duck number 7 is...
You really want that duck, don't you?
I don't know.
Go for a different one.
I can't knock any over if I get this one. Oh no! So close. I'm getting this one now. Oh no!
That's why you're going to knock over another duck.
Oh, I don't care. I'm getting this one now. He's eluding me. Duck number 7 is a dealer's choice duck, which is a grey duck. You can see that it's grey. Silver, sorry. And that is an old TBR. That is exactly the opposite of what we're trying to get this month. And our penultimate duck this month is a grey duck, and that is a dealer's choice duck. And for this one, we got the prompt of old TBR. So I thought I'd be sneaky cheeky, and I'd double up Lament by Maggie Stiefvater, because I've owned this since before I had a Goodreads account. This is one of the oldest books on my TBR, and I had to. I have too much going on this month to not double up when I can, so Lament it is. But then if I read it really quickly and I have time, maybe I can put Ballad on as that one. Who knows? It remains to be seen. We'll find out together. And now over to Alice for our last duck of the month. And then last but not least, duck number 8. I'm going to go for you. Duck number 8 is an orange duck, which is a sci-fi duck. And our sci-fi book will be a Read This Colour. So we got to read an orange sci-fi book. And our last duck of the month was a orange duck. Nearly said yellow. I don't know what my colours are anymore. And this is a sci-fi duck. And the prompt for this one was to read this colour, which means I had to read an orange sci-fi book. And for this one, I picked The Infinity Files by S.M. Wilson. This is a new release, a 2021 release, and it's the first book in a new series, I believe, by the author of The Extinction Trials. It's the first book she has written, which isn't in the Extinction Trials universe, but it follows a girl who is doing some kind of like test thing and stuff goes wrong, and I don't really remember, but it's orange, so I'm reading it and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm feeling good vibes by that one. So those are all of the ducks for this month, but that is not the end of this TBR video, because I also have another 9 books to share with you. What am I doing to myself? Why would I duck pick when I'm also... What's wrong with me? But without further ado, I'm also going to be reading the YA Book Prize shortlist this month. So that is The Great Garden by Meg Rossoff, Cane Warriors by Alex Wheatle, Hold Back the Tide by Melinda Salisbury, Melt My Heart by Bethany Rutter, Wranglestone by Darren Charlton, 8 Pieces of Silver by Patrice Lawrence, Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, and The Stars Are Burning Brightly by Daniel Joanda, and Loveless by Alice Oseman. So, we're going to try and read all 10, including A Snowfall of Silver as well, that is the 10th book. We're going to try and read all 10 of these in 1 month. We've got big plans for these. We've got, like, artsy intro cards and a whole ass vlog planned out. So I hope we can actually get the reading done, especially considering I know I've got a full week at work next week, which I wasn't expecting. But we will attempt to. We have already read Good Girl Bad Blood, Loveless, and The Stars Are Burning Brightly. So if we can't get around to rereading these ones, we will just base it off of our thoughts and feelings about them the first time that we read them, which luckily I did Bookoplathon vlogs where I read The Stars Are Burning Brightly, and I'm pretty sure I talked quite in depth about Loveless at the time. So Good Girl Bad Blood is the only one that my memories are kind of fuzzy on. So it should work well for you, but it's scary because normally the YA Book Prize shortlist gets announced in like mid-February and the winner gets announced at the end of May. Now that gives you all of March, all of April and all of May to read 10 books. So this year they decided to announce the shortlist in the middle of March and then say, hey suckers, we're announcing the winner at the very beginning of May. I believe it's the 4th of May. Which gives you like 5 weeks. And I already had a full-on reading month planned for March. So I've just had to push it all back to April, which is not a problem. But it is much faster than I normally have to read all of the books. And I do it every year. I read all of the books. And last year we got them all read in time. Last year we had the winner chosen. And we'd reviewed all of the titles. But the 2 years before that, I know for a fact, I finished Goodbye Perfect a week after it was announced that it had won. And I was still halfway through one of the other books on the shortlist. And, oh god, I read After the Fire about 3 years after it got announced that he'd won. So, sometimes this goes well, sometimes this goes terribly. This is feeling like it's going to be one of the later years, and it's going to be a struggle to get them all done by the end of summer. But we're going to try. Luckily, most of them are quite short. So, like this, I can read. This, I can read. 1 year, The Book of Dust, La Belle Sauvage by Philip Pullman was shortlisted, and that's like 600 pages. So, if I can do that, I can do these. So, please stay tuned throughout the month of April to see me slowly melt into a puddle, completely unable to read, because this is just too much. But this is what you come here for, to have a good time and see me panic about all of the books that I'm choosing to make myself read. But it'll be fine. It will be a-okay. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this TBR, then please give it a like. And if you would like to subscribe, we would be super duper grateful. Thank you all so much for supporting this channel and for how much it is growing, because it's just so overwhelming and I'm just so grateful. And it means so much to me. So thank you a lot for watching. We post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Hopefully we'll be able to keep that up no matter how busy this month gets. It remains to be seen. But yes, thank you so much for watching and we will see you again soon. Bye! She's...